Hello and welcome to Neverwinter Nights 2, and this will be part 6. In the previous episode we entered the swamp ruins and retrieved the silver shard that Dagon asked us to retrieve, and on returning he told us we had to go to Neverwinter. So we are currently in the process of speaking to certain people in order to say our farewells and milk them for items, and then we need to speak to Dagon to be on our way towards Neverwinter. So let us speak to Georg Redfell.
So, Dagon is sending you to Neverwinter, eh? I can't say I approve. If it were a militia matter, I wouldn't send you alone. But I don't have any right to tell him how to raise his child. Can you at least tell me why you're going? Your father wouldn't tell me a thing.
All I will say is it's for the safety of our village.
You're less cryptic than your father. But not by much. It won't be easy reaching Neverwinter. I've traveled that way once or twice. It's a dangerous journey, especially for one traveling alone. You might want to ask around the village. If you're going to leave, some folks might be able to offer some help.
Speaking of, can you give me anything to help on the journey?
Just some advice. Be careful with the men out there. We harbormen are a particular bunch, but we look after each other. Some men out there might want to... well, let's just say the way you carry yourself might attract the wrong kind of attention. Here, take this shield. It's always served me well. And even if you don't use it, you can sell it for some gold that might do you some good.
Never said about the cute. That's the second line about how the character carry herself. Remember, we got the background trait, flirt. So, it was a nice little reference that you're drawing too much attention, little lady. Very fatherly of him. What can you tell me about the road to Neverwinter?
The road is as wild as a road can get and still be called a road. And that was before the patrols stopped coming. There's only the one road in the mare, and that leads to us. There's a small inn on the way. Makes most of his trade off adventurers and the like. Galen, you remember him? The merchant? Well, he says the road is even worse than before. Lizardlings and other creatures have been sighted, and in large numbers.
What can you tell me about Galen?
He's about the only merchant that comes our way. Does it once or twice a year. And thank Joaquin he does. We don't have a blacksmith, so he sells us what we can't make ourselves. With the way he loves to stop and chat, I wouldn't be surprised if you caught up with him.
Why did the patrols along the road stop?
Your guess is as good as mine. All I can say is I wish they'd start up again. Might have prevented the attack on us, or at least given us some warning.
Any news about Neverwinter recently?
Well, you already know about that war they had against Luskan a while back. Nasty business that was. Lost too many Grey Cloaks in that campaign, from what I hear. The whole city was burned to the ground. Every last house.
I hadn't heard the whole city was destroyed.
And that it was. If you go there now, you wouldn't recognize it. It was rebuilt in just over a year. By gnomes, I hear. And the war killed many men. The Watch just doesn't have the numbers they used to. One of the Watch's marshals, though, is a harborman, like you and I. You remember Cormac, right? He sometimes makes his way here.
What sort of dangers are in the swamp?
Lizardlings you already know. Although, the ones around here are the weakest of their lot. So if you see others, expect a tough fight. The swamp beetles and other critters have been more active too. Adar said he saw a whole nest of them not 2 moons back, scuttling around the mare. And lastly, stick to the road. I hear there are spiders, walking dead, and worse, off the road.
Can we talk about something else?
Of course. Like what?
I'm just doing this for the purpose of getting his interesting insights in the video. It is just fluff, but it's character-defining fluff. Hear any stories of the outside world?
So, you want to hear a story? Look out for the swamp elf. You see, An elf never stops growing, and usually they head to Evermeet before they get much bigger than human-sized. But one of the eldest lives in our own swamp. Huge he is, tall as a tree.
Tall as a tree?
It's the truth, I say. This giant elf has been known to hurl rocks great distances, and it has the evil eye. If it ever locks eyes on you,
What happens?
it turns you into a stone. Not stone, but a stone. Just look around the swamp, and you'll see hundreds of its victims. And just by looking at them, you can't tell if it's just an ordinary rock, or whether it used to be a man. If you listen quietly, late at night, you can even hear them.
I'll look out for him then.
Just don't look him in the eyes.
I will. By the way, Georg is known for telling tall tales, and that was one of the taller ones. As I said, just fluff, but you know what? Why not? Where's Mr. Thomas? Because, of course, we need to get rid of all the scrap we picked up in the ruins, and he's a good source for taking the scrap off our hands.
This incursion is the most noteworthy event that's happened here in years. I had high hopes for Amy. She was a rare find in West Harbor. A shame she failed to heed her first lesson. Always listen to Tarmas. Not that I expect you would understand, but she was the only one capable of holding a coherent conversation with me. Go if you must, but mysteries remain here that need to be answered.
Amy's dead, and all you care about is how it inconveniences you.
An inconvenience? Bah! I wouldn't expect one of your small intellect to understand. Suffice to say that her loss pains me beyond mere inconvenience.
Is there anything you can do to help me with the journey?
Help with the journey, you say? Advice. Advice is what I can give. Use that skull of yours for more than a shield. Amy obviously failed to learn this lesson. A fool girl. As functional as the famous harborman thick-headedness is, it still won't prove much help against, let's say, a lizardling sword or javelin.
Diplomacy. If anyone could help me on the journey, it would be you.
You aren't mistaken on that account. Fine, take this. Perhaps it will help you. Perhaps not, but don't bother asking for more. I've already lost an apprentice on your behalf. That's all you'll be getting from me.
You lost an apprentice because she was incredibly stupid. It's got nothing to do with me. I'm just saying. Fair is fair. You mentioned mysteries.
The swamp has many denizens, most dangerous, and all of them particularly irksome. But these new pests are not native. So it stands to reason they traveled through leagues of swamp trails and this odious smell to get here. Anyone that desperate has to have a good reason, so whatever you're carrying, guard it carefully. Anyone fool enough to go through that much effort to come here won't give up easily. I've already lost Amy to their determination.
Did Dagan tell you what I was carrying?
Dagan didn't tell me a thing, girl. But right after the attack, you dart off into the swamp, and now you're suddenly leaving? That speaks volumes. It's obvious you fetched something out there. And I'd bet gold that whatever those bladelings were searching for is in your pack at this very moment. But I don't want to know the details. Not to be overly dramatic, but I believe such knowledge could prove dangerous.
By the way, I did nothing to skip that. Sometimes it just chopped off the last word. I'm very, very sorry about that. Why did you come to West Harbor if you think so little of its people?
Suffice it to say that I find the bustle of city life even less endearing than the mosquitoes here. And here I can work quietly, in exchange for teaching some mud farmer's child a bit of lore every now and again.
Diplomacy. Certainly there's more to the story than that.
There's more to it than farming and pig contests. Of that you can be certain. Come back later, then we can talk.
Why do you even bother taking apprentices?
Do you think it's by choice? Having filthy beggar children tidying my place up with inept hands and clouded minds? I could hire a servant for that. But the village has expectations of a resident wizard, responsibilities that cannot be shirked. So I teach them their letters, so they can write dirty messages in the mud or some such rot, only to watch them throw it all away in a meaningless gesture of loyalty. Stupid girl!
Years ago, I overheard Georg Redfell say you came here because of the war.
That man says decidedly too much. It's true that part of the reason I came to West Harbor is because of the war that was fought here. You've probably heard it mentioned from time to time. And no doubt you've also heard the same vague accounts I have, assuming you could pry even that from the other villagers.
Do you know anything else about the war?
The whole affair is quite mysterious, I'm afraid. Demons were involved, that much is certain. But, curiously enough, there are no clear answers to who fought whom and why. I think part of it is the remoteness of the location, yes? There were few battles in the war, and all of them were fought in the Mare of Dead Men. An evil wizard was behind the whole thing. There were very few Neverwinter troops that actually saw any action, and none of them survived.
Why don't the other harbormen talk about the war?
And what would they say? I'm guessing that the harbormen are as much in the dark in this as the Neverwinter archivists are. The battle that was fought here didn't involve heralds and flowery declarations. It involved the wholesale slaughter of two forces, with your village in the middle. The entire village was nearly destroyed, and almost no one who stayed in West Harbor survived the night.
What's the other reason why you're here?
You really are a harborman. People here possess the sort of subtlety commonly found in raging barbarian hordes. Ask something else. I have nothing more to say on this matter.
Talk about something else.
Of course. In fact, I would prefer it.
Could I buy some items for you?
Oh, very well.
From you.
I suppose I could always use more coin.
So, sorry, I always park the mouse cursor in the corner to avoid it being in the way when dialogue, and it is also what rotates the screen. So anyway, we will sell the spare crap we have, which is quite a bit. One thing I will mention about that conversation, I don't know whether there's something I've missed, because I've played this game a handful of times. I think I have completed the original campaign 4, maybe 5 times over the years. And Thomas was saying, come back later and we can talk. I should probably mention that I have tried to come back later, and I have never found a given point where, let's just get it identified, where he actually had more to say. So I don't know whether there's a specific timing for doing that, coming back to West Harbor and speak to him to get more information about whatever he was going on about, or it's just something that was intended to be added to the game and never actually got added to the game. I don't know. I have no idea. But that is just my personal observation. Anyway, we are done talking to him. Don't want to speak to him, got nothing to say. Rebel. Villager. Where's Dagon? Dagon, where are you? Yeah. Get the show on the road.
Have you said your farewells?
Anything you can give me to help me on the journey?
Take anything you need from our home. Speak with the wizard Thomas as well. He may have a few odds and ends that he'd be willing to part with.
I'm ready to go.
To get to Neverwinter, take the road that borders the Starling Farm out of town. It is the only road through the Mare of Dead Men, so following it will be easy. The road itself has not been patrolled for some time, and few travel it. Move quickly, and you may be able to avoid the many beasts of the mare.
So I should expect combat.
I suspect you will see your share of battle before you reach Neverwinter. Stray from the road, and the danger is even greater. I've made it known that you traveled directly for the city. in the hopes that the enemy will pursue you along the high road. Instead, you will head to the small port town of Highcliff once you are clear of the swamp. From there, you will seek passage on a ship to Neverwinter.
Why must I go by boat?
Your trip to Neverwinter will be quicker by water, and my attempt at misdirection may allow you to reach Highcliff before the enemy becomes aware of your true route. I have nothing more to say. It's time for you to go, my daughter. Each moment you remain here brings greater risk to the village.
That was subtle. Shut up and leave. I suppose I can do that. One more thing, I'm pretty sure I haven't mentioned it before, but I just want to re-emphasize that the intention is, because of the spoken dialogue in general in this game is very, very good. I will, when there's an NPC that has a spoken dialogue, I will go through most of the options, if not all of them, and the NPCs that we meet that potentially can join up, I will hear what they have to say, and it will be included in these videos, and people can skip it if they don't want to listen to it, but it is such a, I wouldn't say vital part of the game, but it's such a predominant part of the game that it deserves to be in these video parts. So anyway, let's move on. Weeping Willow Inn. So, just an editing cut because I accidentally skipped some dialogue and I didn't intend to, so let's get back into.
Now that we're outside, maybe you'd like to tell me what you said again. Slowly this time, so you could think about what you're saying.
You're a small one to be taking this road all by yourself, dwarf. Maybe you've come looking for trouble. Unless you have a little coin to convince us otherwise.
What's going on here?
Nothing that concerns you. This is between us and the dwarf, and whatever coin he happens to have with him.
Ah, you're welcome to try to take it if you're all game. You all can't be frightened of one little dwarf, can you? If you're afraid of being humiliated in front of the stranger here, well, now that's another matter.
We're not frightened of either of you, and it seems to me you need to learn a lesson.
Calm down, this isn't worth someone's life.
This matter is between us and the dwarf here. It's none of your concern.
Come on, someone tried to hit me already. Even the newcomer here sees that you're all too afraid to do anything.
All right, I've heard enough of this. Come on, boys, let's deal with the dwarf and his new friend.
Oh, most generous of you. I've just tried to stop a fight and then they suddenly want to apparently fight me, so since I'm his new friend, I may as well cast a bless on him. Do you mind?
Take that! Take that! Well now, that was a good fight. A shame they had to resort to weapons, but if they have to keep the odds even, can't blame them too much. Name's Kelgar, by the way, of the clan Iron Fist. I've been making my way along the coast for some time now, stopped in the Willow here for a brief fight.
I'm Katie Marshall, glad I could even the odds for you.
Ha! Even the odds? They didn't stand a chance in the first place. Obviously, you haven't heard of me. So, tell me, what brings you out along the mare? Roads aren't exactly safe, you know, and they're getting worse all the time.
I'm on my way to Neverwinter.
Seems it's your lucky day, then. I happen to be traveling to Neverwinter as well.
Really? Why are you going there?
Now that's a tale. Oh, glad you asked. But can't discuss it without a tankard or two, I think. I say we step inside the Weeping Willow here and share our stories over a few of the innkeeper's best. So then I punched him in the face for asking. And while he was trying to pick his teeth off the floor, his friend decided to add a few choice words about my heritage. so I punched him too. So to make a long story short, I take pride in what I do, fighting. It's something you can't get enough of, and it's something where there's always room for improvement if you apply yourself, stay focused, and keep swinging. And that's why I'm headed to Neverwinter. I heard there's a house of monks there. A monastery, right? I heard they'll train anyone, just for the asking. Couldn't ask for a better opportunity.
Why Neverwinter? There must be plenty of monasteries around.
If you know of a closer one that'll train for free, well, I'm all ears. Just as long as I get that monk training.
A monk.
Aye, that's the short of it.
Why a monk?
Well, as it happens, I didn't always want to become a monk. What happened was that...
The Kalakja! Find it!
Well, look at this. Our next round of practice just arrived.
Well, more fighting. As soon as we're done with this fight, I will have to end the part. But to be honest, just done with the fight yet. So,
Navitus.
Helga Iron Fist, a bit of a character. They're trying to hit innocent. Of course, I mean, that's what you expect. That's what you get, isn't it?
Take that!
Apparently they're after me and they immediately try to kill some completely innocent individuals. That's lovely, thank you. Very heroic of you. Come on. Are we done? We're done. Bullet. Someone asking for help, but unfortunately you'll have to wait until next part. When we come back, we are going to listen to what she has to say and help her, because obviously she needs help. She keeps saying that. And then we will need to speak to Kilgar to see what he's on about, what his story is, what his motivations are, except for fighting, which I think he's made very obvious. And so on that note, I'm going to say thanks for watching, take care, and see you next time. Bye bye for now.